Ravens flock, it's almost go time. We got our next test, our next battle, our next war that we have to go into. We're going up to Buffalo to play the Buffalo Bills in a divisional matchup. I think we match up extremely well against the Bills, and I think earlier this year proved it. Like, we did pretty much whatever we wanted against them. And I'm not saying it's going to be as easy this time, but I do think that this is still a fairly favorable matchup. I'm seeing some people bring up the weather. I don't think the weather, I don't like, we're not the Dolphins. Like, the weather should not really be a big factor for us. Like, I think that should be, if anything, if it's because it's projected to be between 10 and 20 degrees tomorrow in Buffalo with snow or possible snow. If anything, that would still play in our favor because there's nobody big enough on that Buffalo Bills roster who is capable or willing to tackle Derrick Henry 25 to 30 times in a game in the snow, in freezing temperatures. They're not going to want to do it. So I'm very interested to see what comes from that. Key matchups that I had in mind was Marlon Humphrey versus either Khalil Shakir or Dalton Kincaid. I would assume Marlon's probably going to be on Khalil Shakir. We'll see how that goes. There's nobody seriously threatening on the outside for the Bills right now. I know they got Amari Cooper, but at this point in Amari's career, I think the Browns squeezed the last bit of Amari's prime out of his body at this point. I don't think he's going to be a major factor in this game. He's still somebody you have to respect and keep an eye out for, but I don't think Nate Wiggins should have a serious problem with him. I'm assuming Nate Wiggins is going to guard him, but I don't know, maybe Brandon Stevens will. And that brings me to the main thing that I know concerns both you and me is Brandon Stevens of it all. I don't know if he's going to be a liability in this game or not. Now, if it snows a lot, then maybe our whole secondary won't be as big of a factor because they may just run the ball like we are going to probably run the ball. But in all likelihood, we have to keep an eye out on who Brandon Stevens ends up guarding in this game. We know Brandon's having probably the roughest year of his career. Like, it's like pretty much every time a big play is going out, he's giving it up. I'm just waiting for that one moment where he just gets like at least like one key pass deflection, or I'm not even gonna say interception because he just doesn't play the ball enough for me to trust that he's gonna come up with the interception for us at some point in this playoffs. But you never know, maybe he will. That would make my day to see Brandon Stevens get the game sealing interception. So we'll see how that goes, man. I do think it's interesting that there's a lot of Bills fans who were talking very tough leading up to this game, even though when they were trying to argue that Lamar doesn't deserve MVP, they were making it sound like their team was full of a bunch of bums, and Josh Allen had to carry everything. And if that's the case, I mean, I don't know why people would be talking as if this game would be competitive. In that case, it would just be a repeat of what we did to them a few months ago, which in hindsight, us beating them by 25 when our defense was complete dog water is still mind-blowing to me and just so impressive. Because like we all know at that point in the season, our defense was by far the worst pass defense in football. Like, it didn't matter if you were Joe Burrow or Gardner Minshew. Like, everybody who went up against us was putting up 300 plus yards passing like it was nothing. But the Bills were one team that did struggle in that game, and we did a good, what I considered a good job creating pressure in that game. Kyle Van Noy had 2 sacks. One of those sacks ended up being a strip sack. Odafe Owe was able to get a sack as well. I'm very curious to see how we handle the trenches in this game. I would expect Travis Jones and Michael Pierce, because I can't remember off the top of my head if both of them played in that Bills game. But either way, I'm expecting us to still be able to bottle them up when it comes to running the ball in this game. even though I have a lot of respect for James Cook, I think he's a very underappreciated running back. I still think we could, if we keep him in check and if we keep them in third and long situations, they're going to have a very rough day against us, because it seems like when you watch Bills games, it seems like Josh Allen is most likely to take off running when it's a third and short, and definitely if it's like third and inches or fourth and inches, because he does a lot of like tush push stuff. So, but if we keep him in like third and 7, third and 8, third and 10, or if they start to get nervous and start getting flags, false starts, and now they're third and 15, that would be even better. But we'll see how that goes. As far as our offense is concerned, I don't think we should change up the plan from what we had last time, man. Like, Derrick Henry ran all over them at will. It was just an amazing thing to see. Lamar also had a very efficient game against them. He went 13 for 18. I'm pretty sure Zay Flowers is not gonna play. There is a video that the Ravens just posted. I think I'm gonna repost it as well, where Zay Flowers, he's back to working out, but he's still listed as doubtful. Like I've been saying for the past couple of weeks, I think the most realistic scenario is maybe Zay can be back for the AFC Championship game, but I wouldn't expect him to be in this divisional matchup. Maybe he can try to go through it, like tough it out. I wouldn't want him to, just because my main, I know players play through injuries obviously, but my main concern is I don't want to see him go out there and re-injure his injury, and now we got an even bigger problem on our hands. That's something I would not want to see. But I'm very interested as well to see what Justice Hill does in this game. We all know Justice Hill, he had a great game against them last time. He had, I believe it was like 78 receiving yards and a touchdown. He also ran a few times as well. We all know Justice is like an unsung hero. Maybe we see Keaton Mitchell make a couple runs, maybe, but I doubt it. Just the way things are unfolding right now, I think they're just going to keep Keaton Mitchell to more so special teams for right now, just because Derrick Henry's just on fire right now. So we're most likely going to feed the king. That would make the most sense, especially if it's a snow game. Just give it to him like 30 times. And that the Bills don't have anybody. No offense to Matt Milano. I know Matt Milano is a very good linebacker, but they don't have anybody who wants to tackle Derrick Henry 30 times, man. But we'll see how that goes. Even with the absence of Zay Flowers, I still don't think the Bills secondary has many answers for what we have. I think if we did end up throwing the ball more than 25 times or 22 to 25 times, I could see Isaiah likely having another good game. Rashad Bateman having another good game. We all know that in the red zone, Rashad Bateman is just automatic at this point, which makes sense because his biggest strength on top of route running and getting separation is those intermediate routes, which makes sense why every time we turn around, Bateman is wide open in the end zone. Hopefully we see him get another touchdown. I want to see if Mark Andrews can get a touchdown, man. It still blows my mind that after all these years, Mark Andrews still does not have a touchdown in the playoffs. I was hoping he could have got one against the Steelers, but it didn't work out that way. I'm hoping, and I may even, no, I'm not going to put money on it. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm hoping that Mark could get a touchdown in this game. So we'll see how this goes. I know some people are saying this game would decide MVP. It won't. Like, in the literal sense, it won't. Like, they already voted on MVP at the end of the season, so that's already set in stone. And now that Lamar got the All-Pro nod, the likelihood of him getting MVP, it's like probably 80% at this point. I think the last All-Pro to not win MVP was the year Steve McNair won, but I mean, that's not even a concern at this point. We all know that's not a concern at this point. As far as the matchup, again, I still think we match up well against them. I don't think this will necessarily be a blowout, but it would make me extremely happy if this is a blowout. I don't want to see a close game. I want to see us put up another 40 piece on them and hold them to 10 points. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do you think this game will be close? Are there any matchups that you're concerned about? And who do you think will be the key in this game on offense and defense?